wonderful to have you guys. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Jazakumullah khairan to everybody for joining. It's so wonderful to see you all, and even just to see your names, to read in the chat where you're calling in from, mashallah. We're really excited to have you join here on a work day, on a weekday evening. We know that you've probably been teaching all day, you've been up early in the morning, and we don't want to take any extra time from you, but we just want you to know a little bit about the Islamic Schools League of America in case if this is the first time that you've heard of us. We're a nonprofit organization that supports full-time Islamic schools and educators that teach in them, just like yourself. We do provide workshops such as this one that is free. We have an email list where you can ask questions and exchange resources, inshallah. So we invite you to join that. In a little bit, we'll post the link. Salsabil will post the link in the chat for you to sign up to join our email list. And we do research on Islamic schools and education to provide data that can help drive data-based and data-informed decisions, inshallah. And in addition to that, we like to connect folks. So we like to be able to facilitate networking so that you can connect with each other and learn more about each other, inshallah. We want to let you know about a couple of other workshops in addition to this one that are beginning soon, inshallah. We will have a anti-bullying workshop or a bullying prevention and intervention workshop hosted this Saturday. So inshallah, if you join our list, we will provide you with some of that information. And then we will also be starting a course to help us understand how to understand and address issues around sexuality and gender within our Islamic schools and with our Muslim youth, and that begins this Friday. There's only limited seats left for that. So we invite you to be in touch with ISLA to join our mailing list so that you can learn more about it. And if there's anything else that you have questions about, I invite you to reach out to me. I'll put my email address here in the chats that you can reach out, inshallah. We're going to go ahead and get started with brother Anas Abu. Oh, I should have practiced your last name, Abou-Allaban. Inshallah, you can correct me, Anas, if I've mispronounced that. Brother Anas is the CEO and co-founder of Tarteel, a platform that uses artificial intelligence for facilitating and helping students learn Quranic recitation and improve it. He has his master's from Carnegie Mellon University, and I have a very abbreviated bio. I'm sure he can share more information about himself, but I'll pass the mic over to him and let him talk a little bit about Tarteel. And then after that, we will have Brother Jamal present, founder of Quranic app. And inshallah, after that, we will have question and answer. So we'll ask you to save your question and answer till the end, at which point you can unmute or you can post your questions in the chat and we'll try and curate those and ask them at the end. All right, Brother Anas, take the mic.
Perfect. Jazakallah khair. I know Imam Jamal has a time limit. Fine. No, Madam, like that's fine with you. You can go first.
Yeah, I don't mind. Anas, sorry.
Okay, perfect. Jazakallah khair. Yeah, Jazakallah khair for the introduction. Your brother Anas Abou-Allaban. Just quick correction. I didn't graduate with my master's from CMU. Actually dropped out. So dropped out to focus on Tarteel full time, alhamdulillah. Been working on it for the last few years alongside my co-founders. We all met in the Bay Area. At one point, we were working in technology companies, Amazon, Facebook, and Twitter. But then later on, we decided that we wanted to actually use our skills and resources in order to actually benefit the Muslim, inshallah. So today, just to give you like a high-level agenda of what I'll be going over, and I'm gonna share my screen in a second. But essentially, just to give you a little bit of background about the work that we're doing, we've been able to develop some of the initial speech recognition technologies, using artificial intelligence that can identify what you're reciting from the Quran. So basically, what our technology can do is that it can essentially listen to your speech and then from there recognize what you're reciting from the Quran, and then be able to automatically track and give you progress and give you feedback. And soon, inshallah, we're working on the initial implementations of recitation correction. So being able to correct your recitation. But we're also exploring how we can benefit Islamic schools and Quran educators as well in order to make help them basically teach the Quran and enable them to have more productive and interactive sessions with their students. Without further ado, I'm just gonna share a presentation that I have here. So yeah, so as I mentioned, a lot of schools, use different types of tools for essentially tracking students' progress, especially when it comes to Quran instruction, Quran recitation. The most popular one, out there is Google Classroom, maybe even Jupyter Ed, as learning management systems where students are either assigned homework or they submit audio recordings to Google Classroom or via Kami. That's another platform. There's different solutions out there where it makes it easy for teachers to assign homework to students, and students can submit their homework. For Quran, usually it's in the form of some sort of audio submission, or even just coming back to the teacher and making sure that they recite what they've revised. The problem with a lot of these systems is that they're not really catered towards Quran instruction, which has a very unique kind of style. It's involved with the recitation of the Quran, how a student memorizes, how they have the tajweed, the tashkil, the utterances, the makharaj of the huruf, and of the letters. So all this, nuance and important information isn't really captured by these systems. With Tarteel, what we're trying to do is we're trying to change, that standard. We're trying to make it easier for both students and individuals to better engage with the Quran, to track their progress, and make it easier for teachers to get feedback on their students' recitation. So what we're introducing is what's called the Tarteel Education Platform. Usually the typical workflow between a student and instructor is like the student recites and the instructor gives feedback. With our platform, essentially what we can do is we can automatically track the recitation progress of students, give the instructors detailed insights on their students' progress and feedback. They can listen to the recitations, they can assign homework, and they also leverage the Tarteel application in order to do so. Let's see. A lot of my screen froze. Give me a second here. Okay. There are some slides that are supposed to skip, but I'll get to them in a second. So high level overview is essentially how the platform works. It's pretty straightforward. You assign homework to a student. The student is able to see their homework on the Tarteel application. The homework types can vary. So for example, you can essentially assign homework that's in the form of repetition. So a student can repeat, for example, a certain number of pages per day, or a certain number of minutes per day, or they can be assigned specific portions of the Quran to read and recite. And then the student, starts reciting with Tarteel. We automatically follow along and track the recitation. And then the teacher is able to essentially grade the student on their recitation, is able to listen to the recitation from their own personalized dashboard. I wanted to give a quick demo of how this works, just to showcase essentially. Hold on one second. Sister says I might need to request need to be a co-host from my phone, so I can also share my screen just to demonstrate how provide a demo for people.
Okay, sure, no problem. There you go.
Okay, looks like it's working. Right, I didn't expect this to work, so that's really good. Alhamdulillah. So this is just a high-level overview of what we have in Tarteel. So the way it works is essentially all you need to do is start reciting. So I'll start reciting from any verse, for example. سيقول السفهاء من الناس ما ولاهم عن قبلتهم التي كانوا عليها. Okay, never mind. I lied. It's not working because Zoom is using my microphone. See if I can disable it. Unfortunately, I can't. Okay, I have to apologize. I was trying to give a live demo, but unfortunately it doesn't work. But for my level overview, essentially the way Tarteel works is you start reciting, and then we automatically start tracking and following along what the student is reciting.
I do want to say, Anas, that I've used the Tarteel system, and mashallah, it works like magic. You know, magic is haram, but it works like magic. So, jazakallah khair.
Yeah. So jazakallah khair, Jamal. So basically, the way it works is, you start reciting, and then Tarteel automatically tracks what you're reciting. There's a lot of unique use cases from the screen. The most important one that we have is, the memorization mode. So essentially, we hide the screen for the student, and then as the student recites, the words start to appear, like whatever he recites or he or she recites. Tarteel is able to showcase like what the person is reciting. And then from here, essentially, they can start looking into their activity. So they can see over time when they've been reciting, how long have they been reciting, different statistics and badges in terms of how much they've been engaging with the Quran, as well as being able to share different recitations. So for example, if the student recited something from Tarteel, they can share the recitation with like an instructor, and then be able to get feedback on it, and then essentially see what challenges or homework they have. So all of this is actually available on the iOS and Google Play Store, so you can try it out on your own. But what I wanted to basically, the message that I wanted to deliver essentially is, let's pull this up here again. But basically what I'm trying to deliver today is essentially that there are tools and solutions out there to help Quran teachers with their various workflows, whether it's from the beginner stage, where you're trying to just make sure that students are completing what they're supposed to be reciting or completing their homeworks, to those who are more advanced, who are looking to memorize the Quran. We essentially provide the necessary tools and features for the individual teachers. There's a few questions that usually come up when we demonstrate our application, is whether Tarteel can actually identify mistakes. So right now, what we're working on is essentially being able to identify word or character level mistakes. So if someone makes a mistake with a word, or someone misses like a few characters, like someone says سيقول instead of سيقولون ثلاثة رباعهم كلبهم سورة الكهف, we're able to identify those mistakes. One thing that I wanted to also demonstrate is the actual education platform during today's session, just to demonstrate the different workflows that we can go through. However, I don't think we'll have enough time. I also was looking for essentially schools or people that are willing to pilot the platform with us, but alhamdulillah, we were able to find a few schools to join our closed pilot. But if you're interested in learning more about this, we do have a wait list where we're looking to learn more about schools' different use cases, and see how we can help Tarteel support their Quran instruction and workflows, inshallah. That is all I have. Jazakallah khair, Sister Shaza. I guess we'll take questions.
وإياكم. So Brother Anas, if it's okay, we'll just continue with Brother Adam's presentation as well. I know that it's a different category of work. These are addressing different needs, both of the apps and platforms, but we'd like you to please feel free to use the chat. We just want to make sure that both of the presenters get their time. And then at the end, we'll take, one question for each person, inshallah. So at this point, I would love to introduce Brother Adam, Imam Adam. Jamal is an Imam at the largest masjid in Washington State, USA. He was born and raised in Houston, Texas. He started his Arabic studies at Jamiatul Ilm in Blackburn, UK. He completed a BA in Islam from IESH in France and spent a year studying privately in Egypt, then pursued an imamship and a master's in education at, and I'm sure he's going to explain what this acronym is, MIHE in the UK. Imam Adam has worked as a school teacher, Imam, and Arabic teacher for many years with many different programs. For 4 years, he was the department head and lead instructor of Bayana Institute Stream program, and is the co-founder and CEO, or the founder and CEO of Quranic. So we invite Brother Adam to please take the mic at this point. And I'm also going to place the websites in the chat so that you guys can check out and bookmark these wonderful platforms that have been developed for your use, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, Imam Adam.
Jazakallah khair to Sister Shaza, as well as Brother Anas for that presentation. Alhamdulillah, we've always been in touch with Tarteel, asking for advice, sharing ideas, resources, and so on. And we hope to continue to collaborate in the future, alhamdulillah, as a part of serving our ummah. My name is Adam Jamal, as Sister Shaza mentioned, and I am the founder of Quranic, which is a mobile app which helps your students and many people all over the world to understand the language of the Quran. Arabic is a difficult language to learn for English speakers. I'm sure those of you that are teachers of Arabic, the Foreign Policy Institute says that it takes about 4 times as long to learn Arabic for an English speaker as it does with Spanish and French. So it's a complicated subject. So how can we simplify that and make it easier for our students? That's kind of what drew me to this journey, being an Arabic teacher myself, لغير الناطقين, for those who cannot speak Arabic. I myself, originally from Pakistan, I had to learn Arabic. I had to spend years overseas to learn it. And so the idea was, how can we bring that understanding of the Quran to the everyday average Muslim who doesn't have time to spend full time learning Arabic, but just wants to understand what they recite in their prayer, wants to understand what's happening when they're standing in Taraweeh in the month of Ramadan, when they're listening to a khutbah, when they're reading the Quran, using the Tarteel app, and so on. So we're building this network of teachers that's working on this problem together. And our solutions are primarily for upper elementary, middle, and high school. We are piloting some lower elementary programs, but essentially we're working on the bigger problem, since most schools already have a good program which leads students to be able to read the Quran. That's quite well done and ubiquitous. But for upper elementary, middle, high school, after the students learn how to read, what comes next? That's where our solution comes into play, to where they begin to understand the language of the Quran. I spoke to probably 40 or 50 schools this past summer, right after Ramadan, had a lot of meetings. And some of the challenges that we saw is that, number one, the primary challenge is that there's multiple student levels in one classroom. So you'll have, in the same classroom, you'll have Muhammad, who just joined in the 6th grade, and you will have Fatima, who's been there since kindergarten, and they are of very different levels, because Muhammad, maybe he has never been to an Islamic school, he's never studied Arabic, he needs to start from Alif Bata, and Fatima, mashallah, she's reading Arabic literature. So they're at completely different levels in the same classroom. So differentiation is a huge challenge for Quran and Arabic classes. Another thing is there's a need for innovation. We saw this with the pandemic, that most of our other subjects in school, we have so much excellent technology out there that's being used, And we need that same attention given to our Quran and Arabic classes. Students are distracted by social media. That's another thing that teachers complain about, is that there's just a lot of distractions out there. So how can we bring technology into the hands of our students to where instead of being on social media, we give them an alternative? Another thing is that it takes time for students to see results. Just because of the complicated nature of the Arabic language, it takes time for students to see results, and they might be very interested and energetic at the beginning, and they lose interest over time. So how can we maintain their interest? Another thing is professional development, student-centered learning. Every school is working on it on their own, doing their own thing, and curriculum development takes a lot of precious time. So those are some of the challenges that we've seen. A little bit about myself. I think Dr. Sheza, she mentioned most of it, but alhamdulillah, we founded the Quranic app in 2017, and we won Global Muslim Startup and Muslim App of the Year in 2020 last year. We have over 500,000 downloads, and alhamdulillah, we have a team working on this together and many 5-star reviews. You can check out the app and you can download it. It's available on the App Store and on Google Play. You can scan this QR code or go on our website, getquranic.com, and you can download the app. Here's a little bit of what it looks like. It's based around, the app is based around, it's free to download. It's based around stories from the Quran. So the way it was developed was I sat down with my brother and I basically opened up a Word document and said, what if you had an app that sounded or looked like this? And we went through it multiple times because he was not an Arabic speaker. He had never learned to understand the language. And so we went through it step by step. And eventually what he found the most interesting was to learn Arabic vocabulary in a kind of subtle way, where he's not only listening to and understanding a story from the Quran, but he's also getting the Arabic vocabulary. So you get the story from the Quran, so it's interesting. And you get the vocabulary as well. I'm sure if you've used other language learning apps, they can get kind of boring because the sentences will be like, the bear is taking a banana from the refrigerator, or the elephant is sneaking into the room. It's random sentences that have no correlation. But what we did is we used stories from the Quran, ayat and verses from the Quran. We used illustrations to bring it to life. And it's very interactive. You test yourself, you get to see how many times the words occur in the Quran. You can take a quiz to see which of your words are strong, weak, and so on. You have flashcards so you can hear the audio of the word. You can see the meanings. You also have a leaderboard, which students really enjoy, where they get to see their progress compared with their peers' progress. And they get very competitive, as you know. Here's a video which kind of describes it. There's also an alphabet section that we recently introduced. Even my 4-year-old son, he plays around with this and learns the letters. So we tried to make it gamified, and technology has this way of being able to be at the level of the student. So if a student is they can move at their own pace. So if they are more advanced, they can move quicker. If they're less advanced, they can move a little slower, and that's okay. Another important thing that I'd like to talk about, which is beyond what we offer specifically, but specifically the topic of Quranic Arabic. And I'd like to go through that in just a second. So how does this app teach Quranic? What is Quranic Arabic? What is meant by Quranic Arabic? I've had people come to me and say, I don't believe in Quranic Arabic, or I don't like Quranic Arabic. And usually it's because their definition of Quranic Arabic is different from my definition of Quranic Arabic. So in traditional language learning, for those of us that are trained in language, we know that we have the 4 skills: speaking, reading, listening, and writing. For Quran understanding specifically, does speaking help? Does writing help? Yes. But the primary skills that you need for Quran specifically is reading and listening. And in an app format, it's actually one of the best ways to learn reading and understanding while reading. I've played around with Duolingo when it had their Spanish lessons, and I can understand Spanish when I read it. I'm not so good at speaking it, but I can understand it when I read it from the Duolingo app. So that's kind of what inspired me. And then in terms of having all those Arabic words, those of you that are Arabic language instructors, you know that Arabic is a huge language. So focusing on just the Quranic vocabulary means that you end up removing a lot of the fat that you don't need specifically for Quran. Another thing is that from all Quranic vocabulary, we try to focus on just the high frequency words. So I'm sure a lot of you have heard of the 80% words list, which is 80% of the words in the Quran. And so that list is based upon the idea that there's words in the Quran which occur thousands of times or hundreds of times or less. And then you can divide the words of the Quran accordingly. As an example, we kind of 80-20 the 80-20. So even out of the 80% words, the 500 words is quite a lot. So we did another filter, which is what are just the top 10 words. We realized that those top 10 words here on the screen, they make up 25% of the Quran. Just the harf min, it occurs 3,000 times. It makes up 4% of the Quran. So those 10 words make up about Rubu'ul Quran, 25% of the Quran. 60 words make up 50%. And then the 500 words, which many of us have heard of, make up 80%. So the difference between Quranic Arabic and I guess regular Arabic is that instead of learning words like alligator, timsah, or refrigerator, thalaja, because those words do not exist in the Quran, instead we focus on high yield vocabulary first. Instead of studying a surah for 3 weeks and memorizing the translation, we actually learn the language so that we can translate any verse of the Quran on our own. When we teach Quranic Arabic, there's closer collaboration between Quran and Arabic teachers. Instead of doing their own thing separately, they can actually complement each other and collaborate. And it's so much easier to work on something when you have a team as opposed to doing something on your own. Another important thing is student-centered learning. So instead of students learning through a lecture, they actually learn by doing because they're playing with an app and so on. And so using technology is a good way for there to be student-centered learning. So again, you can download the app for free. I'm almost done here. We actually, after we did our app, we also produced a curriculum based on my 15 years of teaching experience that helps students to understand the Quran. And we turned it into what essentially is a Quranic Arabic program in a box. So that combines our mobile app with a complete Arabic curriculum, with teacher training videos, admin support, and as a curriculum partner where we build additional workbooks and practice exercises for students and teachers to use in their classrooms. And so we actually have a special kind of program for the teachers and schools here at the ISLA webinar. So until the end of October, you can actually start our free trial for our teacher training and resources. So you'll get the app subscription for your students. You'll also get access to the first level of the textbook. You can start teaching it in your classrooms, and you can probably get a good semester of learning out of it. You simply scan this QR code or go to getquranic.com/teacher trial. It'll only be available till the end of October. So if you'd like to get started, then you can do that, inshallah. And it's specifically for those who attended this webinar with us, with our brothers and sisters at Tarteel and ISLA. All right, so that's it in terms of my presentation. I'll go ahead and we can move on to the Q&A, inshallah.
Jazakumullah khairan. I don't know about you all in the audience. I get super excited hearing about all this. That's actually my first demo. Brother Adam and I have spoken a lot, but I hadn't seen all of those details, and it's really, really exciting. Brother Anas and I have met a few times and I've seen the demo. I just love the integration of the artificial intelligence and the gamification, all of the issues that we've heard so much, that I've heard a lot of Quran and Arabic teachers speak about differentiation being one of the top, being addressed by these technologies. So I want to give the floor to our audience members who are on the ground trying to solve these real problems of practice. And please feel free to raise your hand, turn on your camera, or unmute yourself if there's no one else speaking, and ask your question directly. As you're gaining the courage, I'll ask this question that Sister Jamila Jones asked. So this was after Brother Anas's presentation. Brother Anas, she was asking for clarification. Is the Tarteel app already in use, or do they have to join the pilot to use it?
So right now, so a few things. Unfortunately, unlike Imam Jamal, he has, mashallah, full-fledged curriculum for our system. All we do is provide the tools, and we leave it up to instructor to decide how they use those tools. Just because we've seen a lot of different use cases and a lot of different workflows. But in the meantime, until we iron out our own systems, and cater to very workflows that are very common. Right now, we basically just provide the tools and they're available out there. The education platform that we're building right now, which is still a work in progress, is part of a closed pilot. And likely we won't have something official until the next 2 to 3 months. The application, however, the individual Tarteel application is available for free on the Google and iOS stores. And anyone can download it. Anyone can use it. Almost, I think 90% of the features are free. There is a premium subscription. We do give you a 1-month trial, but there is a premium subscription that includes essentially the voice track, the automatic progress tracking and the sharing of audio, the badges, the statistics. Most of those, kind of power user tools are part of the premium package, but the voice recognition, all the AI enabled and AI powered tools, they're available for free.
Thank you so much, Brother Anas. So what I hear you saying is that app is there ready for broad use. You guys can feel free to encourage your students to use it and begin recording and testing themselves on it. And inshallah, because this is exciting, Brother Anas, that it's still in the development phase. So educators have the opportunity to help shape what tools and solutions you're going to create, inshallah. So although the test, the pilot group is closed right now, I do invite you all to join the pilot and to use that, to use the app, because you'll still be able to communicate with Brother Anas. I'm sure that Brother Anas, you might include your email here, and they'd be happy to share their pains with you and have you develop the solutions.
Exactly. Actually, that's a good point. I thought I linked the wait list, but yeah, I'll link the wait list in the chat essentially, and the download link for you to join. I actually had many thanks to Sister Shazza for the introductions. I had basically a trip to Texas to meet a bunch of schools out in Houston and Dallas, and the support was rather overwhelming, where a lot of teachers and schools, they just saw the opportunity. They really wanted to just start using our tools and platforms. So we're already overwhelmed with the number of teachers that are engaging with us, but we're more than happy, of course, to learn more about your workflows and how we can essentially build the tools necessary to help you and your students essentially succeed in the classroom, inshallah. We, as Sister Shaza mentioned, right now the app as it is, it actually could technically be used with your students. So students can sign up, they can start using the application to record and recite, and essentially what you can do, you can even share the challenges or the recitations. The student can start sharing it with you. You won't have access to a platform. It'll be on the student, to actually share those recitations. But inshallah, once we have the platform available for, out of beta, essentially what happens is all you need to do is log into your Tarteel account, and you start seeing all the progress of your students. You get to give them feedback, you get to listen to the recitations, the whole 9 yards, a lot of the tools and resources necessary for essentially engaging with your students.
I think, as a Quran teacher, I know that if I assign Quran to my students, I don't know if they actually read it. Maybe there's some tools and tactics where you get the parents to sign off and yada, yada, yada. But how kids are, they come to the parent, they say, can you sign this? And the parent is tired and they're like, yeah, here's X, Y, Z, right? So I think the fact that you can kind of see what your students have read, you can follow that progress, and you can share it with a timestamp as to when that student read it. I think that's pretty cool.
And myself, as someone who struggles with memorization a lot, having and being embarrassed. I think I really feel for the students. I feel like I'm so embarrassed to share it with my teacher, and I might have mistakes, but the app is helping you identify the mistakes on your own, and then be more confident reciting with the teacher. So that's really exciting. What other questions do we have, guys? You're a quiet bunch. I can't imagine the Quran and Arabic teachers being a quiet bunch is very, very unusual. I did see that there was some challenges with the sign up, with signing up with the QR code that Brother Adam had posted. He's just posted a new link in the chat. So do check out the chat and see that. Oh, Jazakumullah khairan, Sister Mona, for joining. Thank you so much. Any other questions, guys? Sana, you're unmuted. Assalamu alaikum.
This is Sana. I have a couple questions. First, as a teacher, can I sign up for Tarteel or Quranic app as an individual? I don't have to, because when I talked about the idea to my school, they said, okay, try them and we'll see. Okay, I would love to try them. And how does that work?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess I'll let Anna speak about Tarteel, but for Quranic in particular, yes, you can download the app from our website. I just posted the link. Also for our teacher training in particular, which is our curriculum and all of that comes with the app, that goes along with the app. We also have a trial for that, because it was the same issue when I was meeting with schools. A lot of times the fear is, what if we make this jump or this investment and it doesn't work out for us? That's right. That was the big issue. Is it going to work for our school in particular, with our teachers and our students and our demographics? Because there's just so many variables for each school. So that's why we introduced this trial. You get to try it out. It's at least 30 to 40 hours of curriculum material. So if you do 3 hours a week of Arabic or Quran, that's a good 10 to 15 weeks where you can see whether it's working for you, if not more. And then you also get the mobile app for free as long as you like.
Great, thank you. The other question is that it's not a question. In fact, I wanted to thank you for the commonly used words in the Quran. In fact, it was like a big effort. I made them as the sight words. I teach my students as we have like first 100 sight words, min, ila, all these little words in the Quran. So they learn them as sight words. And I have another list, a bigger one, the first 500 words. And I think there is a lot of that stuff online now, but thank you so much. Like with all the percentages and all what it made, it makes sense that I was doing something right.
MashaAllah, Sana, that's wonderful.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
Brother,
just to answer for
go ahead,
your
Anas,
first question. Yeah, I think also for Tarteel, it's like I mentioned, it's available for free. We provide you with a month free trial, off the bat. So you're more than welcome to try out the application. We do have parents and teachers who are currently using the application as it is, just to keep track of their kids or their students' progress. In like a small classroom of 3 to 5 people. But as mentioned, for the education platform, we're working on scaling it and building it just so that when you have like a much larger classroom, it's easier to manage. So yeah.
Inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. Thank you.
Brother Anas, I just have a question, please, if you don't mind, or a clarification, actually. So the access for teachers, is it just for a month, and after that they have to register as a school, or is it continue for free for teachers?
So the app itself is free. Like 90% of the features in it are free. There are premium features that are more catered towards, essentially the power users or even teachers, such as sharing your audio or tracking your progress, or like the automatic tracking of progress. Those are premium features, and we do provide a 1 month free trial. So that's available in the application. The education platform, the one that's the one that's still, in a closed pilot, that one isn't available for people at this time. But we are working with schools, just to improve the whole system in general.
جزاكم الله خير.
Yeah.
There was a question in the chat about the teacher training materials. The sign up will end at the end of October, but you will continue to have access until at least the end of the year. And then if you need to extend that, we can, inshallah, should be no problem to do that. Sister Jamila, she asks, do you recommend students to do both Quranic Arabic and Arabic as a second language? So I would say Quranic Arabic should come first. After you complete about 3 years, 2 to 3 years, depending on the school. I know some schools don't go that deeply into high school, but if you are a school with middle school and high school, I would say do Quranic Arabic in middle school and then do Arabic as a second language in high school. That works really well because then the students in high school, they can easily qualify for credits towards their university degrees as well. They can test out of those if they do the Arabic as a second language. And anything they learn in Quranic Arabic will, of course, it'll support what they do in Arabic as a second language. But the Quranic Arabic should come first.
Anyone else with a question? We've got a few minutes to spare. All right, well, we thank you all so much for joining us, for joining the Islamic Schools League of America, Tarteel and Quranic. Brother Anas, Imam Adam, we really appreciate the decade or more of work you probably have been doing, just thinking about this, the really intense work you and your team have done. And we thank all of the educators who have joined us. Jazakumullah khairan for, pouring your heart and soul into this really important work. We ask Allah to accept it from all of us and to allow us to continue to serve the deen and to accept this as a sadqa jariyah unto all of us, inshallah. And we invite you to stay in touch with all of us as well. We'll be taking a look at some of the comments coming through at this point, but thank you so much. We'll send this recording. Please do share it with your colleagues as well if you found it beneficial. And Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I'll just ask Imam Adam to please conclude with Surah Al-Asr and any other dua.
Jazakallah khair, everyone, for joining us today. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from us and mention our names in this gathering like we have mentioned his name today. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from us all of our efforts for his sake to raise this next generation under his guidance and under his direction, and with faith, with deep faith in him. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us and unite us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reunite us with our beloved Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the akhirah. May Allah grant us his shade on the day when there is no shade but his. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fulfill the needs of those in need. May he cure those that are sick. May he have mercy on those that have passed. May he reunite us with our loved ones in the akhirah. And may he grant them Jannatul Firdaus and A'la, the highest levels of paradise. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide our eyes and our ears and our actions and our deeds and our words according to his way and in the way of his messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. جزاكم الله خيرا. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر.
Jazakumullah khairan. Take care, everybody. Assalamu alaikum.